Hello, friends, and welcome back to The Free Advantage. I'm your host, Heather Davis, and I want to invite you into a new season of real stories, real recovery, and real freedom. This show has always been about self-discovery, authenticity, and recovering a life of freedom. And this year, we are taking that journey together in a deeper way. You're going to hear raw, honest conversations with people walking this path in real time. Stories of growth, healing, purpose, and becoming whole. You'll also hear from me as I reflect on these themes that rise from the stories, answer your questions, and offer small, meaningful takeaways that you can carry back into your week. This is not just a podcast you listen to. It's a place you belong, where you are part of the conversation. Welcome back, friends. I'm Heather Davis, and this is the Free Advantage podcast. I am so excited that y'all are joining in because this year we're doing something different. We're going live with video. I'm so excited to be able to see you guys and for y'all to see me face to face. This year we are starting out, we're going to be doing real stories with real people from all over. I want you to hear their testimonies, where they've come from, what they're going through, and their journey to freedom. And today I want to start off with my very first guest, and I'm very excited about this. This is my daughter, Anna. She is in town. She is joining me all the way from Florida. She's been visiting for a while. It's super excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here. Because I'm excited to see y'all in general, but excited to just be a part, to get to share, because this is a journey that I've been watching and I have been living for over 10 years now.
It's been a while. Anna came to us about 10 years ago, right? It's been about 10 years. So she's been with us for about 10 years, since 2015.
11. We're
going
about
on 11.
We're about to hit 11.
She came to us in a very unconventional way. She was 18 when she entered into our lives. And over the past few years, we've gotten to know Anna very well, and she's lived with us. And it was 2022 that my husband and I adopted her. We did an adult adoption, and she became a part of our lives, and it's been a very long and wonderful journey. So,
well, I mean, that's something that we had been talking about well beforehand anyway, and just kind of waiting, I guess, for the right moment and for us to go through the stuff that we were going through. I still had a lot of healing to still go through before I was really ready to take a lot of those steps that I needed, but to this day, it's like second nature to me. I'm like, I don't know what I was doing.
Well, we all go through that. We all go through those times where we don't know what we're doing. And even in this moment right here, getting ready to prepare for this video has been crazy. I think I've been sitting on this couch for almost 2 hours just going, what is happening? Setting up everything. So nobody knows what they're doing. We just kind of jump in and try to learn along the way. And it is with our growth. I'm super excited to have Anna on here. She's walked a very long journey. She has started her healing journey many, many years ago, and
Still on it,
as we all are. And so I wanted to have her on, and I wanted her to share her story. I'm excited for you to be my very first guest.
I'm excited to be your very first guest.
Yeah, it's warming my mama heart, so I'm excited.
Oh, no, we can't. It's too early. It is too early for us to get into the...
Too early for tears. Well,
we say that, but that's just us being authentic. It is. You get around people who are emotionally available and who are so close to how you are in your healing and in your journey, and when you have conversations like this, I mean, that's just par for the course with us.
It is par for the course. Laughter and tears.
Yes.
Laughter and tears. Lots of laughter and tears.
Correct.
So yeah. So I'm glad you're here. I'm excited. I keep saying I'm excited a lot, but it's true. I'm very, very,
We're going to say
excited.
it at least 37 more times before the end. Minimum.
So I would like for you to start for me, please, if you would. Just kind of tell everybody and share how you came to this place, how you came to where you and I met, and how you kind of ended into our family, and what your life was like that a little bit before, and then carrying on, and how you, why you are where you're at right now.
We'll banter. All right. Well... Well, anyways, I've already been introduced, but my name is Anastasia Davis. I met I met my parents in 2015. It was the year I was supposed to graduate high school, and coming from a very interesting situation with my biological family. It's still a subject that we bring up today. It's still something that we have conversations about. You know, it took me a long time to get over a lot of the things that I had went through when I was younger, and I met them in a really dark place, and in a place where I was not quite an adult. I wanted to be an adult, but I was also forced to be an adult way too early. And there's a lot that we had to do, and they kind of took me in. I had met, now my brother, but I had met their son, and kind of immediately became friends with everybody, kind of got my way in, and y'all took me in to let me finish my senior year. I was failing all of my classes. I was, well, I mean, you want the raw. I was on drugs. I was pretty much everything. I was as low as I could possibly be. And then coming into a space where it was an entire family of people who wanted to help me and who saw who I was as a person before I even knew who I was as a person. But taking me in, letting me finish my senior year, and making that separation with people who I thought were my guardians, who were okay with just giving me to strangers at the time, giving the reins over. And I mean, y'all had that conversation.
We did. I remember, I think the biggest thing I remember about during that time when you first came to us, that no matter what kind of conversation we were having, you were always very excited to be there. You were very, very soft-spoken. Even though we're talking about how soft-spoken you still are right now.
Was I?
Yeah.
Well.
But when you were young, when you first came in, it was really bad. You could hardly understand you. You mumbled a lot. You couldn't look me in the eye. And it was very difficult. And I think I knew then it was very difficult for you were trying to really shrink yourself, not be seen, not be heard, not stand out. And it was really hard to watch. You were such a beautiful person. And we knew immediately right away that you needed help. And it's hard knowing when the right time is to step in and when not to step in. And, but we knew you were an adult. So, we offered for you to come and stay with us. And we spoke to your biological father at the time, and he was, definitely in a way he was ready to kind of let go of that situation.
To let go of the reins, per se.
He was, right? So you did. So you came and you were with us.
I'm so thankful, respectfully. I'm so thankful that decision, whether at the time it really wasn't his decision at all, but it was something that y'all wanted to have that conversation with, and I'm so glad that decision was made, because me taking that step, with or without him, to be able to move out and to experience something different from what I had always lived, was the best, pretty much outside of my birth, was the best thing that I could have ever done. Mm-hmm. And now my husband, but
yes, and now you're married, so yes. and you've come a long way. We've come a long way.
I was, as she said, with me getting adopted in 2022 and from meeting them in 2015, that's a long period of time where they have seen the ups, the downs, everything. So after, I think, 2015, moving forward, I moved in and out a lot. I didn't quite know who I was as a person, and it took me a long time to get to that place where I was comfortable doing a lot of those things. And I'm so thankful for y'all, for your patience, for the growth, for the talks, the chats, the lessons, the time, the effort that you guys put in, because I think about where I was at and how many bad decisions I made, and going from one city to the next because I wanted to get out and I thought I knew best, and I was broken. I was a broken teenager who wasn't quite ready to step out of being a lost little 16-year-old, pretty much, is what I was stunted for. And I'm thinking now about all the places that I've been, and oh my God, I'm surprised I'm alive, let's be honest.
Yeah, it was tough. I remember when you left the first time, I was very unhappy. I was very unhappy. I
think you blocked me that
first time. I was like, I blocked you on everything. I'm like, I don't want to talk. I can't. And
I wasn't your daughter at that point. I was just someone who y'all had taken in. So we had
taken you in, and to us, you were already our daughter. We were already
Yeah.
taking care of you. We already had that strong connection for you, but it was hard. It's hard to watch you go off knowing that the decisions you were making weren't the right ones. They weren't, not even if they were right or wrong, they weren't good ones for you.
Yes.
You were not in safe positions. And then even that happened a couple
Safe
of times.
people as well.
And the last major time was when we did come back and see you again.
Yes.
It had been really rough. And can you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, which one
When
again?
you ended,
Which one?
when you ended up in Philadelphia.
Oh,
Talking
that
about
was,
just how hard it really got.
I'm going to talk about the raw. So one of the times that we moved out, it was not a good situation with me being there. This was still a point where I had a lot of growing to do. I was still in a really dark place. Like, even though I had taken steps to get better, there was still a lot of me, the old me that I was hanging on to. And it was time for me to go. And at that point, that's kind of what I needed. There was a lot of times where me going and doing the things I needed to do were all different growing points. But I had started it, and I had moved with my biological aunt, who was like my best friend growing up. I had always taken, from my biological mom, I would always go over to my aunt's house, and I would always want to be with her, and I would always want to hang out with her. But I think about all the crazy situations that she put me in. Abusive, drug-filled houses when I was really, really young. Like, she was really hardcore on drugs, and I didn't learn a lot of those things because I wasn't so aware until I was older. But I was going to move back in with her up in Ohio, and I did. And I think I still have some of the pictures from the bruises that I had gotten, and some of, like, I just saw a video of it. I think just not too recently, where we were celebrating something, and I'm just taking a whole bottle of Jägermeister, and we're just drinking it in the kitchen. And I was like, I hate Jägermeister. It's disgusting. But yeah, I had taken that first step, and I had just went on, I think I remember you dropping me off at the Greyhound bus, and I had taken it up all the way up to Ohio to go move in, because I thought that's where I wanted to be. And I moved back in with family, and it was, again, just a terrible, terrible decision. And I was lonely. I was hurting. I missed y'all. And I didn't quite know what to do. So I did what I knew best, and that was chasing love, and that was chasing something else that wasn't what I had, because I was still trying to fill this hole and fill this void.
Which is very normal. It's a very normal
Yes.
thing to do. When you get into a place where you're finding yourself, you have low self-worth, your self-esteem is low.
I did.
And no confidence. You've been in abusive situations since you were very little. Chasing love is a very normal response, right? You were chasing that thing that gives
something.
makes you feel wanted,
Yes.
makes you feel wanted and needed, and that's what you did.
I was really good at that too, just so we're clear. That was a vice for me. Is that the right term? Yeah. Me using a vice? Mm-hmm. That was one of my vices. And even up until my now husband and stuff like that, like, I was even worried, like, am I still running around the same things? But I did, because of the relationships that my biological mom had, and a lot of those things. Those are things that I fell to. Those are things that I was attracted to. Those are things that I fell prey to, was getting myself in situations where my worth wasn't appreciated, because that's what I thought I deserved. And that took a really long time. And that's still something I struggle with to this day. But after Ohio, I had found somebody in Pennsylvania. He was way too young for me, by the way, just so we're clear. But I didn't know that at first. And it was a really bad blackmail situation. I had decided, well, this guy is it. I'm going to move up there, and I'm going to be with him, and it's going to get me out of my situation in Ohio. And I picked up everything again, and I had moved. I see you tearing up.
Yeah. It was a hard time. It was a hard time for me and your dad a lot. It was not knowing where you were and not knowing what was happening, but knowing that it wasn't good.
No, and again, these are just like, I'm glad that I have the Snapchat videos and the videos of my memories, but I also hate looking back at them, because I think about my time up there, and I was blackmailed, and I worked at the pharmacy at the time, and these are people that were heavy into drugs and other things like that, and they wanted me to get them opioids and prescriptions and do a lot of really, really illegal things that I refused to, by the way, just so we're clear. But wanting me to do things that were so against my moral code. You see, I'm missing a tooth now. That's where that came from as well. Like, it was a terrible situation. I wasn't even staying in the same room as the person that I was with. I had to stay out on the couch, and like everything was moved. By the time everyone got up, I was just living in this really awful space. Again, I got right back onto drugs. I was smoking. I had videos of us, like, I think I was smoking pot at the time because they had it. I was also drunk at the same time. I have videos of us dancing in the kitchen, and I can't even see myself.
Yeah, when you look back, it's hard, yeah.
It is hard. It is hard when you see yourself in your lowest points, but I'm glad that I have a lot of those too, because it's something to look back on and remind myself about how far I've come. And I thought I grew a lot then, but when you go through a lot of the self-healing and you look back and you take the time, I'm so thankful that even though so much time has passed, that this time has passed, because I'm way better than what I was. But it had come to a point. I think I was there for a year. I think I was up in Pennsylvania for a year.
And it wasn't easy for you to get out.
No, that was a whole thing. I called you. I called you, and I was like, that's it. Well, no, I didn't. It was close. I've told you that after I got out, but I pretty much had to devise a plan, because there was no me leaving, me even trying to get a car when a car wasn't supposed to be mine. It was, the keys were locked in a way to where I couldn't ever get them. I wasn't allowed to leave in certain places that were far enough away where there wasn't a handle on me. We lived close enough to the job that I worked at this little pharmacy. I could walk there. And even though I had a car, I wasn't allowed to use the car, so I had to walk. And my coworkers knew the times that I would come in with bruises and black eyes, and they would be like, "So, how'd you get that?" They knew better.
Yeah.
And that's hard. And I was like, oh, I would make every excuse in the book. They're not stupid. And most time people aren't, because they would come in and they knew the family that I lived with.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just over here rambling, but
no. Continue. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you. I'm thinking about it, and this older guy, I wish I could remember his name, but he worked with me. He was kind of an in-between from the front of the store back to the pharmacy, and he knew me every single day. He was such a nice man. He was such a nice guy, but when I came in and I told my work, I was like, I have to go. And they understood. There wasn't anything about them where they were like, oh, I can't believe you're leaving. We need you here. And they're like, no, I get it. You need to get out. These are things that they had been trying to tell me anyway, but I wasn't in that place. And we devised a plan. I took my last paycheck. I bought a plane ticket. I had him with me and my stuff, and he drove me to the airport. I was supposed to go to the work that day, and I pretty much, since everybody was gone and I didn't have the car, I took my little suitcase to work with me. I walked with my. I mean,
it's a miracle that you got out of there. I mean, thinking how the control and the abuse, and not wanting, like, you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't do anywhere, having to hide and sneak just to get a plane ticket, to get to work, how long did you live at the airport before your flight?
A week.
It was a week.
It was a week. So I pretty much with my paycheck, I bought what I could afford. And at the time, that was a week in advance or whatever, because I wanted to make sure that I had enough money to live, too, and after paying everything else. But I had taken my big Disney, my big red suitcase, and I packed it up as best as I could, whatever was left behind. I mean, in my mind, it was just stuff, and I got really good at moving from place to place. Took it to work. He took me to the airport, and they tried to come to the airport and contact me. While I was at the airport, I started getting videos of the bunny that I had gotten for him, because he really wanted a bunny, how it had had a seizure and died, how the fish that I had left behind, I was getting pictures of them dead and all this other stuff, and all this stuff that they could use to help put grievances on me or to make me feel awful and a
scare
terrible
you.
person, and to scare me, absolutely.
Scare you into coming back, and like almost like in a threatening type of way.
Yes, and I did. I stayed in the airport for a week before my flight, and what sucks is you can't get food in like in the food court areas before you get past TSA, and you can't get past TSA the day before your flight. At least that's how it was
at that airport, right?
Let me tell you how expensive it was living on, like, I did a couple days where I got like the little snack chips, or like they had one little hot dog stand or something like that you had access to, and that's expensive, just so we're clear. Not very nutritious either.
No.
I think I had a bird poop on me as well while I was there. It was so bad. We'll never again do anything like that in my life. But you want to talk about the lowest? I didn't.
And you still didn't call us.
You want to know why I didn't want to? I didn't know how to gap that bridge, because I had never been used to having people that I could legitimately rely on. I didn't have, in my heart, I didn't know what that looked like. Even though you had opened it up and you had made yourself available, and there was no point where I would have called and you would have turned me away, in my heart, I didn't know those things. And it took a lot of work with me, and a lot of more years, even past that, for us to work to be able to be in that place.
But when you finally made it out, you went back to your biological mother.
I did.
Right?
I did.
And
I stayed in that week. Yeah. I washed my hair there. I met a nice lady while I was there, and she fed me at the airport. She was so nice, and I'm still in contact with her today. She prayed for me, and she was like, I can tell someone who's running away. She's like, you needed it though. Whatever it was, God found me in the place where I was at, and he met me. He met me, and he sent people for me to be able to get out.
He took care of you. He took care of you along your way.
Oh my God, the amount of times he's probably like a very angry father. Like, I can't believe you're doing what you're doing. But I mean, that's stuff that y'all had to deal with too. But yeah, I moved from that space, and I moved back in with my biological mom and my stepdad, which that also, right back to, those were people that were alcoholics. Yeah. And we were going to the bar all the time. That was my first time really going to a bar in my adult age, because I didn't really like alcohol like that. And I remember they would feed me drink after drink, and then we would go home, be sitting in the back of the car just trying to focus on breathing and staying alive, because I was so out of whatever it was. Nothing had changed. It was still the same situations that it was, and I think it was harder.
Well, when was the last time you had been with them? Because you had left them to go live with your dad. It had been a long time because of the situation she was in there.
So I had went back and forth a lot between my biological mom and my biological dad, but right before high school, right after middle school, I think is the last time I had really lived with her. I moved in with my biological dad. I had my freshman, my sophomore, my junior year with him at one school in Indiana. Then we moved down to Georgia my senior year of high school. That's when I met y'all.
Yeah.
So yeah, then you add a couple years after that, I had really, man, I'm just thinking about it. I hadn't really gotten a chance. I had already kind of cut a lot of those bridges where I didn't know her, she didn't know me. I had also started to grow, and they had regressed, is what it felt like. So that was already a big point for me, and I was in an uncomfortable situation, so I started looking for love again. I started looking for anything that could fill that void. And I met someone in Florida because that's where she lived. That also turned into just more bad situations after bad situations, so we're clear. But in the process of me finding this other person, I had finally found something safe, again, that made me feel confident to get out of the situation that I was in, because I was really good at putting myself in bad situations, but I wasn't really great at getting myself out of them, other than finding just excuse the term, balls to the wall way to get out.
Well, I know how that goes. You may not be my blood, but I've walked that same road. I a lot of myself, I did the same things, right? Mm-hmm. It's the same mountain, right? We kind of went around the same mountain. My trials were different. But I searched for love in all of the wrong places as well for many, 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 many years, running from one situation to the next. And it doesn't help. Right, you're real good at getting yourself out of a bad situation and right into another one.
Yep.
And of course, it's the nature of things is that as we do that, right, when we are suffering within ourselves, as we continue to run from one thing to the next, you always seem to find the next worst thing.
Yes.
That is, at least was my experience, that it was somehow worse than it was before. It just kind of...
You didn't feel like it could get worse, but it did.
But it does.
And each time it was. It was worse.
Because your pain is escalating. Right? Your pain is escalating. It's looking for a way out. That's why you're running, right? You're looking for a way out, and you're going to escalate until you hit a pivot point, right?
Yep.
That's
we
like,
talked about
okay,
it too.
Right? So what happened from there?
I had already found somebody else in Florida, and that was kind of filling the void. I was already struggling with a lot of stuff from my biological mom and my stepdad, having a lot of those traumas, because I mean, he was very abusive. He was a drunk. He was very abusive. She had fallen into it, and it doesn't matter how many times I wanted her to be out of it. It wasn't that way. Now, granted, he's not as bad. He's not like he used to be, but I know him for what he was, and that was not something I was comfortable being around. And I knew I wanted to get out. We were already having issues. They weren't happy with the fact that I was there. They liked seeing that I had grown, but they didn't like me being in their space, because that messed with his routine and the things that they had.
Right. It changed the element of control too.
It did, because I wasn't the same as what I used to be. I wasn't a scared little girl that could just, do the things I want you to do. And I think that point really put it into perspective for me, and I think that was a big tie for me not wanting, and kind of, that was one of the several instances that I had in my life that had really put a growth path for me. And I did, and I got a hold of you again, and I was like, because I don't know how it was, but I knew you were in Florida.
It was so weird.
You talk about it.
So your dad and I, he had gotten a job in Florida, and so we were traveling a lot back and forth between Florida and Georgia during that time. And I had found out, because you had been talking to our son. You've been talking to Austin.
Yep.
And he had let me know. He's like,
she's in Florida.
She's in Florida. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I knew that your biological mother lived in St. Pete. So she wasn't very far away from where we were at all. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I'm like, you're literally 10 minutes from me.
Maybe.
And I messaged you on Facebook.
You reached out.
I reached out to you.
You did that bridge that I wasn't going to do.
I was like, I couldn't stand knowing that you were just so close, and that you were back, and just knowing that things were crazy. So, excuse me. So I messaged you, and you messaged me back, and I'm like, I want to come pick you up, and I did. So I came and got you. We went and had lunch.
I remember sitting out by the beach.
I took you to the beach. I don't know how you'd lived in Florida for as long as you had up to that point, and you'd never been and seen the water. So I was like, oh my goodness. So we went to the beach. And it was just we had picked up right where we had left off. And it was so good to see you, but I knew things were not.
It was hard. It was heavy.
They were not well. That you were not
they
well.
weren't, and you didn't even really get to really fully understand or grasp the gravity of the things that I had put myself through. And I say that for a reason, because I made a lot of those decisions and put myself through.
Oh, and you hadn't told me.
No,
and she didn't share. She didn't quite share right away yet, but it took time, right?
It did.
So that was in 2017.
Was that in 2017?
That was in 2017.
Yeah, don't ask me about the dates.
Right?
There's only a couple dates that I really know, because there was a lot in between.
It was in 2017. And then you had found another guy. You had went and lived with him for a while. And then before you know it, this was probably in June of 2018. So a whole year had gone by, and you were just kind of living and doing things. We were messaging back and forth, and I was getting everything is wonderful, everything is great.
Yeah, no, it was not great.
Until it wasn't. And then I was starting to get the phone calls. I think it was... So May, June of 2018, I was starting getting phone calls where oh, okay, things are not well, right? And it was, I'm finally starting, things are not well enough that I'm having to reach out.
I was in contact, but I hadn't moved back in with y'all yet. And when you want to talk about jumping from one bad situation to the next, I had went from one alcoholic to another. Now, the person I was with wasn't an alcoholic, but his mother was.
Yeah.
Was constantly on apps, had random guys coming over all the time, and not to it sounds bad when I say it out loud, but also this is the raw. This is what I had to go through. She would have people come in that she would meet from probably like 4 or 5 different dating apps, and would essentially just let them sleep with her as long as she would cook for them when they came and as long as they brought her alcohol.
Yeah. We
were going to the store almost every single day, and she would go through a 2-liter thing of vodka every single day.
Right. So this is the environment y'all were in.
Yes.
Because you moved in with him and his mom.
With him and his mom. And the situations with him, I was just in another place. I think so much of myself and so much in my heart, I had gotten a taste of what it was like to grow. I had gotten a taste of what it was like to be in an environment where people want the best for you, where they talk to you about everything, and I was not in that environment. And every place I went, I was searching for that again. I was searching for something that was real and something that was authentic.
Mm-hmm. Well, up until this point, so you had left in, you had left in 2016.
Yep.
And then you came back for just a couple of months, and then you left again. So it was it's in the same year. So 2016. So you haven't been back
since 2016.
Conversating with us it was almost a year. Like, a lot happened within between 2016 and 2017, and then 2018. So we'd been in contact for about another year before you started really going, okay, right? And where I'm still having those conversations with you, we're talking
over
on the
phone, and I'm telling you some of the things I'm going through, and you're like, what are you doing? You're like, get out. Not exactly like that, but kind of like
get
that.
Out.
Get
what
out.
Are you doing? What are you doing? This isn't for you. You're worth so much more. You're worth so much more, and you deserve better. And watching you continue to go down the same paths over and over again, knowing that it's destroying you. It was hard.
And that's not something that you're just going to be able to teach somebody. And I hate to say that you have to go through a lot of hard things to... I'm hoping that if you have your own journey, that you're not choosing to take the wildest, most hardest roads to get to your point. But sometimes you need it. Sometimes you need to go through a lot of the hard things to really put yourself into perspective about what it is that you want, where you want to be. But I'm going to be honest, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that I had y'all as a support system, because it was a lot of years and a lot of chats, and you going like, no, get out of there. I was so unhappy again, and even with the person that I was with and how terrible of a situation it was. But you know what? I clung on to that. And one of the friends we had made, several of the friends that we had made, knew that I was in a bad situation. We had secretly in private, like it was just getting worse and worse. I had devised a plan again, something that wouldn't put me in jeopardy, but something that would get me out of a situation. And in secret, again, we had made plans, and I had someone drive all the way down from Tennessee to come and pick me up. Didn't even tell him until he was there.
Yeah.
And I had just packed whatever I could again, and it was, I want to say amicable. There was nothing else that he could do.
Right.
But I was like, I'm leaving. And I did. And that person picked me up from there and drove me all the way to your house.
Yep. And you showed up at my front door.
Yep. And you know what? Those people that I had made friends with, that, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they got me out of the situation, but several years past that, one of those friends is someone who ended up becoming my catalyst. Someone who really, again, it was someone I decided to be with, and it was just always filling this void. Oh my God, talking about it now, putting them all together in the timeline.
And then you came. Then you came to stay. So that was in July. In July of 2018, you came home. And you've been home ever since.
Pretty much,
You've been home ever since.
Outside of like a small period.
So it was kind of crazy. It was a whirlwind of emotions. Our house was full.
Yes.
We had several other young adults living with us at the time who were finding their own journey and walking their own walk and learning and healing. It was a lot. It was a lot for all of us. The house was falling apart at the time.
Oh my God, the flood. I still think about that flood.
The house flooded.
The great flood of...
It was a lot. There was a lot going on during that time. But then Austin left for boot camp. He joined the Navy, and then his girlfriend at the time had joined, and so they were out, and then it was just you and us for a long time, and that's really when the work started. It was really when the work started.
Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot that they had done and they had sat me down with, that y'all had taken the time. We had done books, other things that and I was just not in that place. Those are not things that I wanted. You want to talk about growth? Like, I needed
Ooh, you
that.
didn't. You
didn't.
fought us every step of the way. All of the inner work that it really takes.
And now, it wasn't in a mean, like, malicious, no, I don't want it thing. I just didn't,
No,
put
it's
in
in
the
your
effort.
quiet,
Yes.
subtle defiance.
Correct. What is the day of difficult demand? That's my birthday. The day of difficult demand. God, is it true? But us going through a lot of the things that we had went through, and me, just one bad scenario after the other, it really, I keep saying that it put it into perspective for me, but it really did. It put it into perspective about where I wanted to be and what things I really needed. And for my journey, I had to put myself through the ringer. I had to really show myself that this isn't the life that I wanted anymore. This isn't what I wanted for myself. And until you make that conscious decision, when you make that effort, it's not something that you can... How am I trying to word this? Like, that is what starts changing in you to be able to want the growth, to want to do better.
It is. So no matter how many things I say, no matter how many things I teach, know how much I preach, to
books, I could read everything.
Books, how much coaching I've done, how much mentoring, it doesn't matter. The thing is that everybody, you can know a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Because you knew, right?
I did know.
But you have to get to a place where you're willing to do it for yourself, right? And then if you because we all have everything that we need within us. We all have everything we need within us to find ourselves, to be our truest selves, to find our way back to God, to heal.
Yes.
And the other people are those support, right? Our coaches, our mentors, our parents, our friends, they are the support that helps us through those things. But we each have to find that place within ourselves to be willing to do the work. And until you're there, it doesn't matter.
That's the thing. You have to make a conscious effort, like, in your heart of all things, and you're like, this is what I want, and I'm going to be willing to put in the effort. Now, that effort's going to be different for different people. Like, there's a lot of people that you can change drastically in a year, and obviously, I haven't gotten to the place that I'm at in now 10 years, so change and that growth looks different for different people.
Well, don't give yourself no credit, because from the beginning, right? It's gradual. It's the gradual growth
baby steps.
From the day we first met you and to the moment that we're sitting here on this couch right now. Like, it is
how far we've gotten
right.
From
it's
there.
been it's a journey where none of us grow overnight. None of us grow in a day. There are those things that are in an instant, right? We have those awakenings within us that change something, that create such a big impact. Sometimes it's the long road, the long journey of the harder things that we have to walk through. You know, I try to teach everybody, learn smarter, not harder, right? Like, because we talk about working that way, but to me, I'm like, if other people have walked the path, right? And they have learned the things for you, why would we do it the hard way? And the truth is, because we sometimes we just have to. I do it. I do it. You do it. Everybody does it.
Everyone in this family has been through, and we talk about it a lot, how everyone's story is completely different, but there's stuff that my dad has went through that no normal human should have ever went through, and how terrible it was, and the things that I have went through, and the abuse, and I've sexual assault, and a lot of things that were from my childhood, and your marriages, and the torment that you've went through with a lot of people that have been in your life. And that growth, raw, and it doesn't matter how bad of things that you've been through. It doesn't matter what place you're in. There is never an incorrect time to start your growth. There's never I'm too far gone, or I've been through too much. It's in your heart when you say I want better for myself and I want to do better. Like, that is the time.
That is the time. Yes, I agree. And that's what it also comes back down is to your willingness, right?
Yes.
One of my biggest things is I can and I will. And it's because we all can do it. Nobody Nobody is past any point of any kind of return. We are all able, right?
Yes.
But we're not all willing. And
Correct.
it is being willing to say, okay, I need help. Okay, I'm ready. Okay, I want more. I want something different. And I'm willing to do what it takes to do it.
Yes.
Because it's not easy. It wasn't easy for you.
It's not, by the way.
It's not. It's not for any of us. You know, there are easy things, right? You know, I talk about the risky path, and that is what it is. When we start out with that willingness, it feels very, very scary just to make that step.
It is.
We're so comfortable in our pain. We're so comfortable in our suffering that it becomes this warm blanket that we cloak ourselves in, not realizing it is what is suffocating us. And letting go of that feels very risky. It feels very dangerous.
It does.
But it is imperative that we take that first step. It is very imperative we take that first step.
When you're used to living in chaos, when you're used to living in danger, when you're used to living in just those situations that are toxic, like that's a really good word for it, let's be honest. Like when you're in a toxic scenario and when you're out of it, you forget how to breathe clean air. You forget how to exist in an environment that is not what it is. Just I mean, exactly how you said it. That's how it is.
It's a really fantastic way to put it.
Yeah, when you're living in it's
forgetting how to breathe clean air. You forget.
Your body's not accustomed to it.
Yeah.
You're not accustomed to being in a space where it's healthy. Just like if you get a goldfish, I don't know, like, and this is a really weird analogy to put it, like you get the goldfish that are living in the really, really dirty fish tanks and stuff like that, and you change their water, it could kill them.
It kills them. It's true. It's true.
I want to cry thinking about that now that we're sitting here talking about it, because that is so true for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And you're just so used to your fish tank and how dirty it is and how terrible it is and how awful that you're taken care of, or the people around you and how they're not noticing that you're in this scenario and how hard it is to pull yourself out. You have to slowly acclimate yourself.
Yes.
You do. Yeah.
You do.
Baby steps.
Because
and that's how it is.
You become overwhelmed, right? You become overwhelmed with the good, the clean, the healthy, right?
And unless your heart's ready, I'm not worthy for those things either. That's a hard place. Now, that was a hard place for me. That doesn't mean that's a hard place for everybody else, But
it is. When it comes to worth, though, a lot of us, I think more of us than we know are dealing with worth issues. I think a lot of it comes back down to how we see ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, what we feel like we actually deserve and our value. And when you're in that place, we give ourselves what we really believe we deserve and what we really believe that we're worth. And that's why we live in these toxic situations.
That's also the hard part, because, you know, I am thankful that I had y'all, because had I not had you, had I not had that voice of reason to be a catalyst for me, to be someone on the outside that was telling me when I was doing things wrong or when I was not in a good scenario, there's no way that I would have been in any of the place that I am now. I was so ready to just be done with the first year that I had met y'all, I wanted to end it all. I didn't even want to be alive anymore, which is, you know, hard to think. Now, thinking about just a little 17, 18-year-old that just didn't want to live and didn't want life. How would you not want life? But you know what? That's such a reality for so many people who don't have that support system, who are in environments where they don't have anyone who cares about their tank.
Yeah.
And
that's hard.
Those resources are available to you for people who want to reach out for it, but that willingness is where it comes back. It's like, I want those things, and there's people that would give it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. You're not alone. Knowing you're not alone. There is someone out there who cares, who sees you, who can hear you, and finding that is not as difficult as you think it is. I know that it feels like it. It felt like it for you. Even,
oh my God.
Even when you had somebody there, it still felt hard. It still felt hard.
But leaning into people who feel like, I don't want to say side characters to the story, if you will, but if you don't believe in God, I do. I am very believing in the fact that he has always been a guardian angel for me, and the people that he has sent and trickled in through my life to to just be there for me. Whenever I was living over in Kennesaw, do you remember that my old neighbor lady? She texted me every year after that, and let me tell you, like, she was the sweetest, most kind person. And sometimes you need those random people that you meet in your life to be a grounding.
Well, and that was such a nice thing. I think God really did send you somebody special there, because that goes right back into your story. You had been with us for a while. You had been doing really well since 2018, and you had gotten a job, you were working, you were doing so well. We got you had your car. It was such a wonderful thing. You had already been in another relationship, in and out, that was a healthy relationship. And another one. But you also had learned through that relationship that there were things that you weren't ready for, and you moved on from that, and it was all in a very healthy way.
That was something that I had put myself in a situation where I was in control in that relationship. And I don't want to say in the whole relationship, but
with yourself.
Yes, with myself. I was in control. I was able to start having conversations that I would have normally never had. And also to set boundaries. That was something I really learned after that year, was setting boundaries for myself. Do I still struggle? Absolutely. But it became more accessible in myself to be able to do those things. And I did, and I set those boundaries, and that relationship ended, but it was not like the others. It was something where I had made a clear line in the sand of something that I wanted and something that wasn't being met, or something that I didn't like. And I didn't have to sneak into to fiddle my way into,
and as Aunt Paula would say, he went the way of the buffalo.
What is that? I've never heard that before.
He went bye-bye. He just went bye-bye.
Yes, he did.
And then you did. You moved out on your own. You got your own place. You were doing really well. And then things took a little bit of a turn for you.
They did. They did. Oh, man, I'm trying to think. Okay, so here we go. We're caught up. I'm really starting a lot of that healing process. I had to go through a lot of my trials, a lot of my tribulations, everything that I needed to go through to be able to be in a place where I was starting to become willing. And I remember me being out of that house. That's when I made that call to y'all, and we decided that we were going to go through with the adoption. I was at that place. You guys were standing in the garage. I think I have screenshots of our call or whatever.
Yes.
I had sent a really long message to my biological mother that pretty much just went through everything I had went through. I felt like I hadn't been vindicated, or I felt like I needed to trying to reach out again and having those conversations like, where did it all go wrong? And I'm like, you know what? This is where it went wrong. And not in a blaming teenager like, I hate you.
Yeah.
It was, you hurt me. You hurt me. Your decisions hurt me. These are the things that I went through, and these are the things that you allowed. Especially with her relationship, with my stepdad at the time. And, like, these are the things that you pretty much put me through. And instead of an apology, instead of a realization, instead of something that you should say when someone is opening up to you about a lot of those things. That's not what I got.
No reconciliation.
Nothing. It was, after everything, it was a do what you need to do to heal. And just the same thing with my biological dad. It was letting go of the reins. And I was like, you know what? That's what I needed. In my heart, I needed to have something that was a catalyst for that. Everything needs a catalyst in your life. All your decisions, the points in your life, like, there is going to be something that is going to move you forward. And that was it. That was the last tie I think that I really had to who I was before. And when that did, I sent you guys the message, and I was like, I did it. And even though there wasn't really a lot of times where I had those conversations with her, where I had still had a relationship, I think that being the last it.
Yeah, I mean, you had been abandoned since you were very, very young by your biological parents, and you came to us that way.
I did.
Even though you may have been living in your aunt's home and your dad was there was none of that. You were completely alone. You were completely abandoned. You were
I was still teaching myself how to live.
Yeah, you were not being taken care of physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in any form.
Because that's not the places that they were in.
And you had wanted us to adopt you for a while, and we wanted that. But we took some time because we wanted to make sure, like, you had a family.
Well, I was an adult at that point, too.
You were an adult, and we wanted to make sure that if there was space for healing, if there was space for that forgiveness and reconciliation with them, that we left that room there. And we wanted you to find that on your own. We wanted you to come to that place for yourself. I
had to cross those bridges, and I had to decide what was happening with those bridges.
It could not be a decision that we made.
Because that's what it would have been, I think,
because
for anyone else.
Because when you do it, like, adoption it's a serious thing, right? You were cutting ties with that family. Is for all intents and purposes, they don't exist legally anymore, right? So it was a big decision, and that was one that you had to really come to and understand on your own.
That was not something that y'all could have been like... Because that wouldn't have been good for anybody. Had we went through the adoption at any earlier point, had we done any of the other things, and had I not been truly ready to let go of those things, I would have done exactly what I would have done any other time, where I would have ran back and looked for something else, and I wouldn't have felt like... There could have been a point where I could have looked at you and I could have said it was your fault and that you broke that relationship, when in all reality it wasn't. And that's a hard place. You know, there's people that will look on it from the outside and be like, I can't believe she did this, and I abandoned everybody. And I'm still, to this day, I'm still getting random messages. I think even just 2 months ago, random people that are finding ways back into guilt. And, and like, how dare you? I'm sorry, how dare I heal? How dare I find better for myself? And that's a really hard place to be. Not saying everyone will ever go through a situation where, you know, you're getting rid of family and how that looks, and that's not as extreme, because there are some people who do have really good family and good connections. It's just...
It's hard, but there are a lot of people who do experience the same things as you do, and it's okay. You know, I always telling you and anybody else out there that it is okay to walk away.
Yes.
It is okay to walk away, and it's not your fault. It's not your guilt. It's not your burden to carry. And it's hard when people keep trying to constantly put that on you, right? And to remind you of trying to remind and put it on you that somehow this is your fault, that I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And it's not true, especially when you are a child, and all you did was just live.
I lived, I took care, you know, something we had talked about here recently with me being back is things that I used to do a lot for my biological family, and how much I cooked and took care of things, and kind of had this way more adult wifely role than I should have had at the age that I was at, living with, you know, and I lost a lot of those things. I didn't want to clean. I didn't want to take care of myself. I didn't know how to take care of myself, by the way. Like, I never took care of anything on my body either. Like, the core essentials of who I should have been as a person, as a human being, as someone normal, I wasn't able to do. And now coming into a place where I've really worked and I've really taken the time to heal, that has given me the confidence to take care of myself, and to also want to go back and do the things that I used to do, like to cook. I love it. But that's what I used to love to do before people took advantage of those things. And that's the same for people who have art, who are into music, or into anything that could have been taken away creatively.
Well, and you were that way. You are a phenomenal artist.
Thank you.
You know, you're an extremely creative human being, but I mean, art, that is what you do. It is your job. It is your world. And we watch that slowly be just deteriorated, even in your own mind, that you weren't even worth what you were doing. With the things that you were capable of, you couldn't see your worth in yourself in that way. And so
you're never going to make it as an artist. You'll never make money.
Right, you didn't. And even after you had moved out and you had found you're finding yourself again, you kind of slipped back into the old ways of living, right? And it goes to show you too, right? Because you had moved out of the support system, you were on your own. We're in contact almost every day, but we're not in that same space, right? The support looks a little different. The accountability looked a lot different.
Yes, it did.
And you having to have that for yourself, different. Right? And then you found yourself in another relationship.
Yes. With the friend of who I was living with in Florida, the same people who got me out of that bad situation, and
way back when. So you went back to another situation.
I will say, I wouldn't even say fully gone back, because that was a thing. Like, I think I had talked to them on and off, and I had trauma bonded really hard to that group, and it ended up cycling back. I think I had already dated him a small period of time. It was long distance when I was with y'all before I went.
Yeah.
And went with myself. And that's where I ended up going back again.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, most of my stuff, most of my trauma, that's relationships. Like, that is 100% my vice. Thank God I'm not in that situation now. But I had kept falling back to the same things. I kept falling back to what was familiar, because that is what grief does to you. That is what growth, you keep wanting to go back to the same ponds and the same areas, and you building those habits and building those the accountability.
Yeah. And I remember when I first learned of y'all were talking again and thinking, why are we going back? Why are we involved with the same people? And because you had changed so much, you were like, oh, everything's different. They've changed. It's going to be different this time. And excuse me, knowing that it wasn't, and having to watch you and having to let you do it. And it wasn't
There's a lot that you had to let me do.
I do. It wasn't fun. And we were worried, right? But we knew that this was something that you had to do. You had to do it.
Something that you just said, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
It's okay.
But you had, where I had changed. I had grown, and not realizing that they hadn't.
Correct.
Was hard for me, because I had put myself in a bad situation, and I say bad situation, I've said that a lot, but in this time it was different, because I had grown, but I hadn't fully grasped that they hadn't. And I think that's also the same for a lot of other people, where, like, for people who go to rehab or go and do a lot of work for themselves, and then they come back to, their house or the family that they're living with, or wherever it is that they were living before, and putting yourself back into situations where growth isn't apparent, where nothing else has changed. That is the quickest, easiest, just most raw way to bring you back down to where you were before.
Well, it's the perfect way for relapse, right?
Yes.
And we're not just talking relapse in addictions, relapsing in our old patterns, our old behaviors, our old mindsets, ways of thinking. I talk a lot about recovery, and it's not just recovery from addictions. It's recovering from life, from our traumas, from the things that we have experienced in life. And yes, it's you put yourself back into situations with certain things and people and places, and where growth has not happened, it is the easiest way for you to relapse right back into those same old things. And that's what happened.
That's difficult. That's difficult for people who have made ties in years, and if that's a relationship, if that's your family, again, that just comes into the willingness. That comes into, what are you willing to have to cut to be able to live again? And that looks different for so many different people. But when you start really making the growth, and I say really making the growth, because all of it's growth. Every bit of everything that I have went through has been growth. But for me, those steps, really seeing from the outside what those situations were, that took me a long time to get rid of.
It did.
And even though I had recognized it, I still wasn't in that place where I was ready to let go.
You were not.
I hadn't made that decision where I was ready to cut those ties, because surely they'll see how good I'm doing.
Yeah. And
they're going to be in my space. And
well, you can change. You can change them. You can help them.
I can change him. Don't worry.
You can. And you didn't. And it escalated. It escalated.
I went from
this is when you had such a perfect life for yourself. And I'm not perfect, but for you were so happy. Like, you had created this life.
Yes, between all of the times that we had conversations, between all the healing, between all of the everything that I had went through, I was like, I'm ready. And I think genuinely I was ready. I think in my heart I had really made that choice that I wanted better for myself, but the places that I was putting myself weren't in that. So I had moved from my own space. I had moved in with your dad, our papa, for a little bit to kind of transition. I had moved from my job at the vet clinic where I was living with y'all, and I had gotten an online job for NDA reasons. I can't speak, but I did ticket work for a really big company, and it was great. I was making great money. We were about to move back into office, so we had to move closer to where the office was going to be.
Right, and this is after COVID.
Yes, and this is where I fell into what was comfortable, because the same person who I had wanted nothing to do with because of how bad they had hurt me, the friend of the people who got me out, and it was like, I'm better, and I was like, oh, I'm so in love. I realize why I fell in love with you in the first place, and those connections come back, that familiarity comes back. Yes, and I let him into my world again. Right at the peak of everything that I had done. I had my own car that I was paying for and that I had gotten. We had just moved, and I did all of the work to get myself, him, which was unbeknownst to y'all when we were moving, and then 2 of my coworkers, because, it was going to be easier. If we were all going to be moving into office, we might as well just get an apartment together. And we did. And we got an apartment together. So I had all the stuff was under my name. I had my apartment, I had my car, I had a really stable job. I had furniture I had saved up, which for me is a lot. Like, that was
You did.
That was big for me.
It was big for you. And these are things you had provided for yourself.
Yes, you had, between my growth and between y'all and the encouragement or whatever, there was a lot of people that were like, oh, you chose them for the money or whatever. Let me tell you, that is not why, okay? I am rich in healing. I am rich in life and love. But, as many times as I had moved and I had just decided it's just stuff, and I'd given everything away, and I was so used to living out of suitcases, now having desks and shelves and a bed. Let me tell you, that was important for me. I had really made it, and I had went out and I got new kitchen stuff, and I was so proud of this space.
You were so proud. You really were.
And you know what? That's how I know in my heart that I was really ready for better things, but he wasn't, and I brought him into my space, and I worked so hard to keep us afloat. And from other circumstances, from him not working and me just allowing somebody else to ruin what I had built, I ended up getting, I didn't want to pay my car because I wanted us to have a roof, so my car ended up getting towed. We got the eviction notices because I was trying to rely on other people, and that I could only rely on myself, unfortunately, because of the situation. I didn't really know the people that I was living with. My car got repoed. We got eviction notices, and you lose your car, you're about to lose your house and everything. I was depressed. My tickets went down, my job went down, and then next thing you know, I got fired. I got fired, I think, a couple days after I lost my car.
Yeah, it was rough.
It was really rough, and I was like, oh God, here we go again. I'm putting myself into something, and I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to get out of it. That's really where I saw that mountain, where I started seeing how much, when that fall for me, that was close. That was really close to what it was, and I think that's what started that catalyst for me, because I'm like, I saw how much I was able to do, and not how much I had, because again, it is still stuff. You can get stuff, but how much.
Well, you started to see what you were capable of.
That. I was starting to see what I was capable of, and just to watch it all be ripped away. That was God's way of saying, there's something else here. It's sucking everything from you. And that's what we needed. And there
was still that thing in you. Yes. There was still that thing that needed to be healed in you that you could not see yet, right?
Yes.
And you still had something to learn.
I did. And you know what? As terrible of a situation it was, he was still my boyfriend at the time. We were in it together because we had already been through everything
y'all bound together.
Yes. And I left my desk. I left all the furniture. We got a top loader for the car. I packed up everything that I could again. And God, was I familiar with taking whatever I thought I could and just leaving whatever else, because, and I was back in it again. And we moved from Georgia from that spot or whatever, since I had lost everything. We had his little shitty car that was, excuse the language, sorry. But we had this little car that, like, was not legal, should not have made it down as far as it did.
It was a miracle, because we had moved we had moved to Florida by this point, and this was in 2024.
No?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Yeah,
the very beginning. It must
have been
at the
beginning.
It was.
March.
It was right around February is
Yeah.
when I lost my job. And we got that top loader. I looked for, like, roommates.com, like, anything that I could to just find something there that was stable. And we were like, we need to be closer. I wanted to be closer to y'all, but also we just needed to move, and that was not the place where we were going to find it. And thankfully, we met a girl named Amber, and she was going to open up her home to us. And even though we hadn't met her, we just kind of had to take that risk.
Yeah.
We had to take that leap, and we did. And we packed everything in the car. I left all my artwork in that apartment too. Like, all of my old original paintings that I had, all of my supplies, like, you name it. So many things got left at that apartment and got left at that house, but
it really was a place where you kind of just lost it all.
Yeah. That's why I said that is the start of the catalyst. I really lost everything that I had built.
You did. You lost it all. I remember once y'all got to Florida, coming and helping y'all unpack at the girl's house and realizing...
Oh, yeah, I remember you were there to help me unpack.
We were there, and there was nothing left. And it was kind of funny because the things that you still had was still a bunch of the, like, old, torn, kind of the trash that was left over. And I'm like, well, where is this? Where is that? And you're just like, it's gone. And it's kind of funny how when you start walking out of a situation like that, the things that you did grab, the things that you did take were the things that had no real value.
Yep.
And the things that had value got left behind. And I think that says a lot. It says a lot.
It does. That says a lot about where I was at, even though I was ready and I saw what I was capable of, but that was...
Oh, how quickly, in a snap, that you just revert right back. You go right back to
because
that
it was
space.
Trauma. I was scared. Everything was so crumbling apart around me, and that's where your core, that's where the things that you really, really deep down need to work through, like, that's when that stuff comes out, is when you're in those situations.
Yeah. And it took a while.
It did.
And I think really by the end of that year...
So the end of that year is that's really where it settled for me, because I had already started making those things, and the same troubles that we were having in the other house, and him not working and me supporting, and the lies, and just really getting to know who he was deep down, where I had started to build that growth and where he hadn't.
It became undeniable.
Yes.
Right? He eventually got to a place where you could no longer deny what was happening. You couldn't justify it anymore.
Yes, and from one house to another, and we were about to lose that. We couldn't keep up with such a small rent payment. And it wasn't a matter of how much I worked. It wasn't a matter of what we both did. It was also where the place I was at. I wasn't in a place where I was ready to support myself again, because I had just lost it all. And I was like, what's the point? What's the point about me putting in all this effort if you're not also going to put in that effort? No, because you get back into that
place where you don't care anymore, right? You don't.
And I didn't.
The self-worth starts to deteriorate again, and you get back into that place, and you were depressed.
I was depressed. And having that conversation with you again, where it turned from everything's great to it's not changing, it's not getting better. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't. And they opened up their home to me, to both of us. I think that this is also the last time, by the way, that was really like, I can't believe I'm moving in with them again. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to. Not because I didn't want to move in with y'all, but in my mind, I really was at that place where I was ready to just... But still, it was that one thing that I was hanging on to, and that was him, and I kind of needed that. And we both moved in with you, and we had a place where we were going to be able to get up on our feet again. And I learned really quickly through that, it wasn't me. It was. Don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming everything on him, but a lot of the things that we had went through, that was that extra weight that I didn't need. And he lied to y'all. You know, we were supposed to be doing better for ourselves. And when I realized that I was ready to be doing better, and when I was doing better and he wasn't, and he was falling hard because that wasn't where he wanted to be.
No, it wasn't.
Like, y'all provided everything that you normally do, and you're like, we're going to help you, we're going to get better, let me take you to work, let me do all of these other things since you don't have anything for yourself. And you did that.
Yeah, at that time, you had really dug in, right? You had, I think after everything you had lost everything, and then you were in this space, I think you knew. Yes. I could see it on you, but it's still not wanting to come to the admittance of, oh, wow, right? I really messed up this time, right?
I was in love, and I was stuck.
You were stuck, and you wanted him to be
what you
wanted him to be, and he just wasn't. And we knew at that time, even in spite of what we knew against our wishes, we did not want to bring him in, but we knew that if we did not accept him, if we knew that if we did not accept your decisions in this, that we could have lost you forever. And so we did. And when he came, and we did everything that we could possibly do, and he made his bed. You know, he did. There were lies, and he found himself in another space, and it was at that time.
He disrespected y'all. That was me. I think it wasn't so much as he could have done to me. It didn't make anything else. But when he lied to you, when he disrespected you, and when I felt that was like, I can't believe you. How dare you? And I think about how much I had went through, and how much you guys had. You had opened up yourselves, even past how much you didn't want him to be there.
It really was. It really was the catalyst for you. You were you can do whatever you want to me, but how dare you do that to my parents, right?
That's exactly. It was, and I remember Dad being on the call because he was gone. He went to go see Andrew, to go, I think, hang out with him when it all happened. And I think I was screaming, and you hadn't, I don't know if I was screaming. Let's be honest. But I was.
Well, I've never seen you really angry before, and that was the first time.
I was.
And it was hard. It was a tough time, but you made the decisions to choose yourself. You know, you had really set a full boundary at that point with him, and you chose you. There was
an ultimatum there,
and it made all the difference in the world.
I needed it. I needed that ultimatum where it was like, he's no longer welcome here, and it's either you're going with him and that's your decision, or you're staying here and you're cutting those ties. And let me tell you, as in love as I thought I was, and as whatever, like, I needed those things to happen, because that gave me the courage, and that gave me the ability to be like, no, what? I'm not giving you guys up. And I want to say it was a no-brainer for me, but it wasn't. I cried and sobbed and fought so hard that night with him leaving, because it was quick. When I say it was quick, and all the rug had been taken out underneath me again, and I thought the last thing of what I had from all of my trauma, from me losing everything and us going through all of this stuff, like, it had just been taken away, and I'm like, that's the last thing I had. But you know what? That was the last thing that was holding me down. And I really needed that. And that's hard. And don't get me wrong, I don't wish anything bad on him. I hope he grows, and I hope he also gets to a place where he can...
Absolutely. I wanted that for him then.
I know you did, and that's the thing, is that's how y'all's heart is. You are so open to help those, even if they can't see it themselves. Those are the things that you always want for people. Even if they don't want it, you still want it. Even if you haven't met them, I know you guys still want those things for people.
It's hard because, I understand that people are the way they are because they're hurt. Mm-hmm. And that they need help. They need healing. And we all have our walks. And if I can be that support for somebody so they can find that's what my hope is to be. But it is coming to that place where it's very hard to understand not everybody wants that.
No, and that's hard. I think that I had finally realized what you guys had been feeling. That's where that also came into perspective for me, because as much as I want someone else to be better, and as much as I realize that they can be better, and then when you see that they're not making the effort or they're not in that space, that's really hard. And I think that was the first time that I had really seen that from my perspective. Even though I had been with people who I definitely could have seen could have been better, whatever, I didn't really understand that.
Right.
Until that point. And that was the catalyst for me. I was like thinking about how I had lost everything. And I really kind of lost myself again. But let me tell you that when they say like the rainbow is the most brightest like after the rain, or it's, you know, it's brightest at dawn and all that other stuff, it's, those metaphors are said for a reason. You go through some of the hardest things that you go through and you think that there's nothing else that could break you, and or you lost what you think is most important to you, and sometimes the growth that comes after that is the most beautiful, most freeing, most wonderful thing that you can ever experience. And that's exactly what it was. Is I really, it took me a little bit. I want to say it took me a bit. Like, we went out to dinner that night where it was just you and me, and I'm crying. We're sitting at a little like dive bar or something like that for chicken tenders, and and you're like, it's okay, and you let me be me, and I had no problem just letting it all out. But the growth that came after that was a lot quicker than what I thought it would have been.
It's because you let go.
Yes.
You let go of it, right? You're not still trying to hang on to those things that have really, that last little bit. It's that last little bit that we hang on to that we're so afraid to let go of, that if we let go of it, we're going to lose everything. And the truth is it not until we let go of it will we actually gain everything.
Yes.
And that's what happened. And you did. Your growth, your healing took off exponentially.
I really,
literally within the next year, you had jobs, you moved across the country.
Here we go, by the way. So I had met somebody again, but this time was different. And this time was, I didn't want to find anybody. This person found me. And when they're like, when you stop looking, that's usually when stuff finds you. I didn't want to believe that. I'm like, oh, I want love. I want marriage. I didn't. Let's be honest. I didn't want those things.
You had a sour taste in your mouth.
Yes, I did. I didn't want it, and I told him that too when I met him. And you know what? We were talking about opportunities. It was getting close to a point where I needed to move out, and I was ready. I wanted to be out on my own. I was in that place where I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I want those things for myself again. And you got so scared.
I was scared.
You had every right to be scared. I remember us having that conversation, and it was hard. It was a hard conversation that we had, like, right outside my bedroom door by the bathroom.
Yes, I remember.
And I know how mad you were. And that was one time I don't think I was afraid of you being mad. And I was like, I get it. And I'm like, I really feel like this is where God's pulling me. And I had made in my heart that if I moved out there, it was for college. And it was. I knew that there was going to be opportunities because that's where he was going to college. And the fact that he wanted better for me, and he was like, I'll find a place where you can go to college too, and all this other stuff. And he believed in me. And I think that also was something different that I didn't have from any of my other relationships. This was somebody who wanted better for themselves.
Supporting you, encouraging you. Yes.
God, and he is. And as much as I didn't want it, I said, I'm going there, not because of him. I'm going there. I had a different place that wasn't with him.
Right. You had your own space.
Yes, my own space.
You moved halfway across the country. You moved to New Mexico.
Yes.
I'm like, there's nobody there. What are you doing? You know, what happens? I can't just run down the road and help. You know, it was scary for us.
Even though you told me that stuff, even though I had already been through those situations, I was like, I really feel like this is it. I was like, I really feel like this is where I need to be. And I don't think I had ever really said those things where I'm like, okay.
No.
I've said those things. I never included God into that.
Not quite like that, no.
No. And
we knew when you left, we were like, this is different.
I needed to go get my ID changed and stuff like that because, you know, we had the adoption, but I hadn't really done any of the work to get my name changed.
No, and you had to fly, and so it was required.
We were like, yeah, so, no, it wasn't so much the flying because I could have went with just my regular, but it was for college. I wanted it for college.
That's right.
And we were going to set it all up and do it differently, and we went to the DMV to go get it changed. And I'm not going to say it for obvious reasons. Well, actually, no, it doesn't matter because it was in San Juan, San Juan College. It's right there in, like, near Farmington. and we were going to the DMV, and some random girl that happened to be sitting next to us while we were in Florida was like, I just got back from Farmington, New Mexico. And I was like,
That's literally where you were moving to, and we just kind of took that as a big sign, like...
I looked at you, and I was like, out of all the places in the world that they could have been coming from, and in my mind...
It was crazy. It was...
I was like, okay, I hear you. I see you. I'm like, is this it? And then also in my mind, I was like, am I making those same decisions again, though? Am I running around the same mountain? Is this like foreshadowing for like they're running from it? Do I need to run from it? And
I think even in that, though, right, is a little bit of the proof that you were, because you were asking yourself those questions. You were curious about what you were doing. You were asking yourself. You were reflecting on your motives. You were reflecting on not just your choices, but on your motives for why you were making the choices you were. And that's a huge sign of growth and healing, right? Is when we are able to get ourselves to that place where we can be honest with ourselves.
Yes.
Right. And it made...
You're right, though.
It made a huge difference for you and us.
I was cautious
that time. And the trusting of what was coming was good.
I was cautious that time. There was nothing about, like, I was like, I will never ever go through any of the things that I went through again. Now, unironically, we did, but that was not from anything from him.
Well, lives.
Yes,
right?
It does. But that life didn't feel the same as the other life. Mm-hmm. Like, us going through the trials and tribulations that we have since then, since we've been married.
So that was 2 years ago.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Hard
by
to
the way,
it's 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and fast forward, you and him, Hunter.
Yes.
All right, y'all got married this year.
We did. So I had moved out. We started going to college. I got everything out. I went and got my GED while I was there. I had actually made work. He had actually, had me in a position where he did encourage me. I had my own place, and you know what? I decided that place wasn't great, but it wasn't me moving with him to escape anything else. It was us moving in because we really wanted those things, and I was with somebody who did want better and who showed and who proved. Yeah. Who also helped kept me accountable. I needed someone like that in my life. I needed someone who was willing to be like, what are you doing? That's not what we're doing. And I love my husband to death, and that's what he does. And you know what's crazy? As much as I wanted to get married, and as much as I thought I wanted those things, when people presented it to me in previous relationships, I was like, no, I don't want it. I could never see myself like actually sitting down. And with him, there was no second thought. I had this little, like, y'all can't see it. I've got this little promise ring I got like 2 weeks after I had moved there, and you were like, oh no. But yeah, and you guys still haven't even gotten to meet him yet.
We haven't physically met him,
Hunter,
but we have spent a lot of time, because y'all are far away, right? And so in life is our life, and y'all's life is not granted us to be together. And he would be here now, except Hunter is in boot camp.
Yes, and so I miss him terribly.
So we will be meeting him shortly in the next month here when he graduates.
Yeah, right about a month now.
Yeah, but it's been wonderful getting to know him via Snapchat. That's how we all communicate in this family.
There's so many group chats with all of our family.
And video calls, and lots of hard conversations with him and you guys. But, Hunter's a wonderful human being. Many of our other family already has gotten their opportunity to be with him. So
not nobody has met him at least.
But we're excited, and our heart is filled with joy for you and him both. And watching
Thank you so much.
And being a part of your healing and your journey has been one of the greatest joys of my life. And I'm so happy that you have made it to this space, and that we have walked this path together, and that you have allowed us to do so.
I didn't fully welcome it until I was ready for it, and when I did, I talk so highly about you guys, and not just because, you're my parents or that you've done all this, other stuff, but like, you really have put in the effort, and more than any other people have really ever put into my life, where you wanted the best for me, and you wanted the best for me because that's what I deserved. And it's not because you wanted it for me, but that's because that's what I needed. Mm-hmm. And the amount of time, the amount of, I say this a lot, the amount of conversations, but just the amount of effort that you guys put in. And I'm so thankful that you did, because it got me to a place where I'm at now. And that wasn't, and you started doing that before you adopted me. You started doing that before you really got to know me. And
we weren't going to leave you behind.
You weren't, and you didn't. And you know what? I'm so thankful. I'm so deeply grateful for you guys. Like, you guys were also my catalyst. You have made my life so rich and so full, and I'm so glad that I have this support system now, that should anything ever happen, like, I don't have to worry about coming to you for any of those things. But also, I've gotten to see you guys heal too. I've gotten to,
you have
a lot.
You have walked that journey with us too, right? I mean, it's been a lot. The past 10, 11 years, it's been a lot for all of us, right? You've watched me walk through my own journey. You've watched me do a lot of healing, and your dad, and you've watched us grow. You've watched me create this podcast and grow this business. It's I couldn't, I mean, when we met you, this was not even a thought in a million years, and here you are,
were
sitting
never in
here.
that place. And now I'm
sitting here, and we're having this conversation together, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, and I get to share my experiences for people who are, I said earlier, where you think that you've been through too much, or you're far beyond saving, and let me know the raw, like, it is, you can go through everything you can go through, and until you're ready to stop going around that mountain, and until you're ready to make that decision, like, the time is whenever you are ready. That is when it is. And even before then, like, make those decisions. It's possible. It doesn't matter what you go through. It is very possible. Everything is possible through your effort and through your hard work.
It is. It is possible. It is possible to find freedom. No matter where you are, no matter how far gone you think things have been, no matter where you find yourselves in the depths of yourself, whether you find yourself no longer wanting to live, to be a part of this world, whether you feel like nobody will ever love you, that there's not people who will care about you, there is. And if you can't find anybody, I'm here. We're here for you here at the Free Advantage. And that is the point. That is the point of this podcast. It's the point of starting to have people on to share their stories. I encourage you to reach out, to message me, send emails, send your stories in. I would love to hear from anybody who would love to share their story here. And if you need help and you need coaching, I have a lot of resources for you available to do so. Anna, I thank you so much for being my very first guest on my videos for my podcast. I can't believe we're getting through it and doing it.
We did it. We did it, though.
I do. I appreciate it. It's been such a joy having you. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And I hope that me telling my story, that me opening up and me getting to talk about the raw, really bad decisions that I made, I hope that gives you the same confidence that you can open up. If you're not sure who you can open up to, I know you don't know her, but let me tell you that I didn't know her either, and that it is the best, most wonderful decision you can make, even if there's someone that's close to you that can be that for you, that you have the ability, even if you're not ready and you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to take that step out, sharing your story.
Sometimes
living in your truth.
Sometimes God will send you a stranger. So it is.
I love that.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening. I can't wait until next week. Well, I'm going to start unpacking some of the conversation that we've had today. If you have any questions, please send them in. I'd love to answer them if you have any. And remember, freedom, it's the advantage you already own. Until next time.
I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me today here on The Free Advantage. If today's conversation resonated with you, I invite you to share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And I invite you to take the next step with us. I want to hear from you. You can submit your questions, reflections, or your own story using the links in the show notes or by visiting my website, theriskypath.com. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Your voice matters, and it helps us to grow and get our message out to more people just like you. Let's continue our journey to freedom together. And remember, freedom is the advantage you already own. Until next time.